This is why avoidants might display traits of covert narcissism, and here's their goals. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that's crucial for anyone who's ever struggled to break free from a narcissistic partner. If you found it hard to accept the truth about your relationship and have been trying to move forward but hitting roadblocks, this video is for you. We're going to uncover the 5 biggest challenges you'll face as you try to rebuild your life after a breakup with a narcissist. But before we dive in, I want to hear from you. What parts of life do you find the hardest to accept? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, you're not alone in this journey. So, make sure to stick around, hit the bell icon, and let's explore these challenges together. Let's get started. Okay, let's talk about sneaky narcissists and how to spot them. First off, they've got these 3 big giveaways that they might not even realize they're giving away. Number 1, their lies are so smooth, they might even believe them themselves. So get this, I stumbled upon this quiz to spot covert narcissists. It's got 23 questions, all about how you see yourself compared to others, especially if you think people don't get you or treat you right. So I took it, got a 34.8, which apparently is normal. But here's the kicker. Narcissists are so deep in their own delusions, they can pass with flying colors. Psychologist Aaron Leonard hit the nail on the head when she said narcissists really buy into their own BS. It's like they twist reality to fit their ego. Now, back to the quiz. It's a no-brainer how to game it. Like there's this question. Do you have problems nobody understands? I said no way, but a narcissist. They'd say yes, thinking they're on a whole other level. So, just for kicks, I took the quiz again. But this time, I went full narcissist mode. And guess what? I aced it. 100% narcissist material. Crazy, right? Alright, listen up. When you're dealing with a sneaky narcissist who's a pro at fooling themselves, things can get twisted real quick. They'll see a test like this and answer it according to their warped version of reality, which is basically a bunch of lies they've convinced themselves are true. Their whole deal is they don't outright lie, they just can't see past their own delusions. The Romans had a saying, actions speak louder than words, which basically means actions prove what someone's really about. Covert narcissists are masters at blurring the lines between truth and lies. They'll sprinkle some truth in their lies, making it tough to tell what's real and what's not. And they're good at flipping the script, making you doubt your own reality. But I've got a trick up my sleeve. It's like your own personal lie detector, and it's stupidly simple. If someone's words match their actions, chances are they're being straight with you. But if they're saying one thing and doing another, they're probably feeding you a line. Applying this to covert narcissists takes some brain power, but it's a good start in sorting fact from fiction. Picture this. You've just started seeing this guy named Adam, who claims he's all about saving the planet. He'll go on and on about cutting down on plastic and how important it is. But here's the thing, Adam's not really into it. He talks a big game, sure, but when it comes down to it, he's not practicing what he preaches. He'll brag about being Mr. Eco-friendly, sharing stories about his green lifestyle, like joining cleanup events and preaching on social media. And he loves to flaunt his supposed Tesla, acting like he's saving the world one electric car at a time. But guess what? Turns out he's full of it. He's all talk and no action. You catch him using plastic like it's going out of style, never bothering to recycle. And that Tesla he's so proud of. Nope, he's cruising around in a gas guzzler every day. But here's the kicker, you're head over heels for Adam. So at first, you brush off these little fibs. But as time goes on, you start noticing more and more holes in his stories. Like how he's always boasting about his job, saying he's the star of the show, and everybody loves him. But in reality, he's just blending into the background, with his co-workers keeping their distance. And then there's his money talk. He acts like he's a financial guru, but his spending habits tell a different story. He'll drop big bucks on fancy stuff. But when it comes to splitting bills or helping out, suddenly he's tight-fisted. His words and his actions total mismatch. Alright, the longer you stick around a sneaky narcissist, the more you'll notice these little cracks in their facade. And that brings us to tell number 2, how you feel when you're around them. Okay, brace yourself for some self-critique. You see, the problem with articles or videos like this, including the one you're watching, is they often rely too much on checklist. Sure, they might list off tells or signs, but the real clue lies in how you feel after hanging out with them. Sometimes these lists can make you see covert narcissism where it's not, just because you've dealt with a real narcissist before. So, why am I even doing a video like this? Honestly, it's the only way to grab people's attention. You got to play the game, even if you're not a fan, just to get the message across. Anyway, back to the point. Covert narcissists are like undercover agents. They blend in, but your gut knows better. In my last video on narcissism, I talked about this thing called the uncanny valley. It's like this creepy zone where things look almost human, but not quite, and it gives you the heebie-jeebies. Well, that's kinda how it is with covert narcissists. They seem almost normal, but there's this weird vibe you can't shake. Someone in the comments nailed it when they said it's like their personality is robotic. It's just off. So I started wondering, how many folks out there dating a sneaky narcissist even realize it? I scoured the internet for days, no joke, and came up empty-handed. It's not that no one's asked the question before. It's just that narcissism is a tough nut to crack. Check this out. There's this article by Aaron Pincus from Penn State that dives into 4 big problems with studying narcissism. Definitions all over the place, confusion in diagnosing it, mixing up terms, and sorting out what's normal narcissism and what's a real issue. Alright, let's break it down. Imagine you're in school and each teacher has a different idea of what a circle is. Some focus on the shape, others on the math behind it, and science teachers might even bring up spheres. Yeah, they always got to complicate things. Well, that's kind of like how experts in psychology see narcissism. They each have their own take, which makes it hard to pin down. And then there's diagnosing it. It's like every school having its own rules for giving out A's. There's no standard way to diagnose narcissistic personality disorder, so experts argue over who has it and who doesn't. It's a mess. And you end up hearing stuff like, "Oh, everyone's a narcissist now." Alright, now let's talk about mixing up terms. You've got your covert narcissists, your overt ones, the grandiose types, and the vulnerable ones. It's like trying to organize books into genres, but some books don't neatly fit into just one category, or they fit into a few. And then there's the whole normal versus problematic narcissism deal. It's like deciding when someone goes from kinda tall to officially tall. Here's the deal, because everyone's got their own definition of what makes a narcissist. No one's really dug into whether you know you're dating a covert narcissist. Most studies focus on the loud, flashy narcissists and kinda ignore the sneaky ones. So I came up with a new way to look at it. Instead of labeling them covert, overt, or whatever, let's think of narcissism as a spectrum. On one end, you've got the overt grandiosity folks. They're loud, proud, and demand attention. They're super confident, always seeking praise, and act like they're entitled to everything. Then, on the other end, you've got the covert vulnerable types. They seem shy and sensitive, but deep down, they still think they're better than everyone else. They might not brag openly, but they'll still find sneaky ways to manipulate and play the victim to get what they want. It's like they're hiding their narcissism under a layer of insecurity. Alright, here's why I'm all about seeing narcissism as a spectrum. It's because there's a lot of overlap between the different types. Someone might show traits from all over the spectrum depending on the situation or how they're feeling. So yeah, a covert narcissist could turn into a grandiose one over time, and vice versa. And that brings us to the third big giveaway. Don't expect a covert narcissist to stay hidden forever. Let's dive into this spectrum idea. I'm saying a person with covert narcissism can switch and start acting all grandiose down the line. Actually, scratch that. I'm saying pretty much every covert narcissist will eventually start showing off some grandiose traits. It's just how they're wired. Check this out. There's this study saying that in the general population, most people don't see themselves as either grandiose or vulnerable. But get this. High flyers in the grandiosity department can flip and start feeling vulnerable in certain situations. It's like if the star quarterback suddenly felt insecure because someone criticized him. And here's the kicker. Even though they're acting all grandiose, they won't even realize they're switching gears. Here's another twist I've noticed. The study says that researchers believe folks with grandiose or overt narcissism, basically the opposite of covert narcissism I'm talking about here, are more likely to show sneaky or covert traits. But it usually takes something to set off the grandiose types. Let's say there's this star athlete who thinks he's too good for practice, so he skips out. Then, when he gets benched for a big game, that's when his covert side starts coming out. Now, here's my take. Covert narcissists can do the same thing, but in reverse. Let me tell you about my dad. He used to manage HR for a bunch of McDonald's franchises. Part of his gig was making sure franchise owners stuck to this handbook. It was like their Bible for success. Follow the rules, your restaurant booms. Ignore them, and you're toast. Every month he'd check in on owners, and some would slack off, letting their places go downhill. He'd have to lay down the law, and they'd promise to shape up. And they would, for a bit. But as time passed and they slipped off corporate's radar, they'd slip back into old habits. They'd ditch the handbook, go rogue, and my dad would have to step in again. It was a cycle over and over. So, what's the deal with covert narcissism? It's like a well-crafted facade, hiding grandiose traits that eventually come to light. Carl Jung talked about this, describing it as a persona, an imagery project to the world. Covert narcissists are masters at bending in, but underneath lies a sense of entitlement and superiority. As time passes and life's pressures mount, even the most adept covert narcissists start to slip up. Arrogance, a need for constant admiration, fantasies of power, these traits seep through the facade. When you see these cracks, you know you're dealing with a covert narcissist. If you found this insight valuable, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to check out the free book and details for one-on-one consultations in the description below. Your support helps us continue these discussions. Thanks for being part of this journey.